Hey guys, Brian with VetteSource here on a cloudy, kind of cold, rainy Sunday day here in southeast Texas. Finally got some cold weather out here in the mid-50s, so nothing too mild. Reminded us that we were actually in the middle of November, about 10 days from Thanksgiving. Today I wanted to make a quick video for you, show you a little bit about Corvette headlight motors, specifically Corvette headlight motors that were made on the Corvettes with pop-up headlights. That would have been from 1963 all the way up to 2004. So if you know a little bit about your history of Corvettes, Corvettes actually had a flip around or pop-up headlight for over 40 years of its generations. Starting in 1963, they had a flip around headlight that flipped the headlight around basically 180 degrees from where it was before it started. And then in the C3 Corvettes, that would have been 63 to 67. And then starting in 68, they went to a vacuum headlight system that actually raised the headlights up with a vacuum canister that pulled them one direction, pulled them open, and then pulled them shut, which can be rather troublesome. And that would be a subject I'll save for another video to kind of describe that system and how it works. It involves a vacuum reservoir tank and vacuum drawn directly from the engine straight out of the back of the intake manifold. So say that for another time. But then you've got the period of time from 84 to 87, I'm sorry, 84 to 96. Corvettes went back to an electric headlight motor, and 97 through 2004 was also an electric motor, but a little bit different design. So the one I'm going to focus on today to show you guys is the 84 through 87 headlight motor. And as you can see, this is a pretty big motor. It's a plastic casing, but it's rather large. They actually in 88 went to a much smaller motor, which made it a little bit easier to play with. And this one always seems to be a matter of confusion for a lot of people when they're trying to diagnose or troubleshoot them, because they're just rather foreign looking. Plus they're kind of hard to get to. Installed, what this thing looks like, if I can show you here, this would be where it's installed in the car. The headlight assembly is here. And as this brackets, this steel shaft spins, then what it does, it spins the headlight around. On the Corvettes, on the C4s, the headlight motors actually spin almost a full 270 degrees to rotate open. So it's kind of neat to watch them when they're working right, but when they're not working right, they can be a source of frustration as I drop that. So anyway, luckily the case was already halfway open. So what I'm looking at today is a headlight motor that is not working properly. The owner told me, hey, I can't get this to work right. And as some of you guys have known and watched my videos, I deal in parts. That's my primary job, is Corvette salvage and parts and things like that. So thought I'd show you a little bit on the how-to fix these yourself if you've got a problem with them. As you can see, this one's looks to be in really nice shape, so I was kind of suspicious, but I went ahead and cracked it open. They've got I think it's 8 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 bolts around the perimeter to hold these 2 clamshell pieces together on this motor, followed by, of course, you've got a power and a ground and a neutral, basically, that hooks this into the harness right there. So I went ahead and cracked the case open. I'm going to crack the case so you can see what's inside of here. So once you take this apart, you can see that it's 2 pieces, okay? So you've got basically the driven gear is here, which spins in that shaft right there. So I can close up so you can see what I'm looking at here, if I can get it to work right. And it fits down in here. Of course, it's not going to cooperate with me right now. And then it goes out to the outside, and that's where the nut threads into the actual headlight assembly itself and pivots, turns the headlight motor assembly. So on casual inspection, this actually looks, there we go, see how that goes down in there, and then that spins that gear, the small part of the gear, the matching part here, and then this would be the drive gear on this side of the assembly, which rotates the headlight assembly, and then the worm gear coming straight off, that is the actual electric motor itself, the copper windings inside of a magnet. And then on the end here, you've got your brushes, those 2 little pieces there, with the electrical connectors going through there. So what I'm going to do real quick is, when I was troubleshooting this, I looked at it and I said, no, I don't think it's an electric motor problem, but it's always good when you're dealing with electrics to have the ability to hook things up and do some electrical testing. So A simple battery charger will do this. Now I have one of these, of course, because of the work I do, but this is just a 12-volt standard jump box. You know, you can get them for $100, $150 investment. I've had this one for years. I just keep using it. So what you want to do is, on this one, you isolate, obviously, which one's your power and your ground. On this case, your power is going to be your green wire, and your white is going to be your ground. Now, this motor is made to reverse itself when it's in play. So basically what happens is it has an isolation relay that isolates these. So what I'm trying to do here is get my hands together so I can put this alligator clip in here for you, show you what I'm doing. So alligator clip goes in there, and then we've got another alligator clip, and all I've done is hook these up to the positive and negative leads of my battery charger jump box, and I'm going to see what I can get happening here. So as you can see, those are just attached. My camera's not focusing very well, but those are attached to my two leads there, so I can get a power. I'm going to hook in my power box so I get 12 volts running to it. And as you can see, my power box is up and running. One thing I like about these power boxes is you can actually check your voltage with the different buttons to see, and so this tells me it's off, so it's not working right now. But then of course voltage and amps going into the box itself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set 10 minutes on the timer, and then I'm going to go to 20 amp, and then I'm going to see if I can get this to work. So I've got it there, and my connections are not running like I want them to yet. Hang on just a second, guys, so I can get this to work. Bear with me a second, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I got my wires hooked up correctly. So I've got my leads over to the headlight motor harness, one lead to my positive and one lead to my negative. Now what I mentioned before was these headlight motors are basically power on all the time, 12 volts to the system continuously. So what happens is an isolation relay in a relay pack underneath the hood switches the polarity, so it just reverses the polarity of the 12 volts from one side to the other. So you can hook these up whichever direction you need to, green to green, black to the white, or vice versa, and the motor will spin in both directions for you. So the motor is actually always under a 12 volt constant, but what happens is the isolation relay changes it, and then it's got some bumper stops on the headlight assembly itself against the hood that stops it. So what you'll see now is as I connect this to there, you can see it spinning, right? So all that is a worm gear on the end of here and spins the motor. Now all I'm doing is checking to make sure the motor's spinning correctly, right? So overall it looks like it's working okay. Now the complaint this guy had was he couldn't get the thing to turn the headlight motors over. So what it does is, even though this whole assembly looks like it's very much rebuilt condition, we needed to check to see what was going on. So what you'll notice about these gears specifically, this is an aftermarket assembly that has somebody been recently put on the car, and they're offshore built. They're not the worst, but sometimes they're not the best. So when you look at these, you realize these are nylon gears, and this is the way they came from the factory anyway. So usually they would wear out inside of here and gum up the works, and then they wouldn't spin, or the drive gears, the teeth would get broken. So what I did was I started looking at this tooth assembly here, and as you spin it, you see most of the teeth look pretty good. We're going to spin around. You check all your teeth, because even one broken tooth can cause an issue in these things. So we get around to right about there. I don't know if you can see in the camera or not with the light, but you see those two gears are smashed flat, right? There's two right there, and there's also two right here that are pretty bad, flattened towards the back corner there. So what happens is this thing gets put under a load, and it's trying to get past those spots. It binds up and it won't spin the motor. So therein lies your complaint. So you've got a motor assembly that's really pretty advanced. You can see it pretty good right there where those are smashed right there. So what happens is it gums up the entire assembly and it won't do anything. Now I'm going to throw it back on here real quick and see if you can see what I'm talking about. Now there's no load on it, so it'll keep spinning. But what I'm going to try to show you is what happens when it's under load and it's trying to move that whole headlight assembly around that 280 degrees. Sometimes it'll hang up because the motor assembly itself weighs, a good, probably 7 or 8 pounds. So put that back in there, and we'll kind of put the case together. It's not all the way together, but it's there. So what you'll see is, what should happen is it'll hiccup as it gets past the certain spots. If I can get it to work. Oh, I need to hook it back up. Hang on just a second. Hang on 1 second, guys, as I hook this up to the motor assembly. Give me just a second here. Okay. And we'll try that. Okay. And as you try it, see how it's kind of hiccuping? As it goes through that, it's bouncing around. So that's that broken gear, those flattened teeth I was talking about, and that's what causes it. So therein lies your problem with these headlight motor assemblies. And I frankly believe, even though I really like the way the Corvettes look with the enclosed headlight, heck, most of the sports cars I like them. The Formula 350s that I own, that I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I'll put a link to those playlists above right now so you can see them. And any of the other sporty cars from the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s that had the flip around headlights are really cool. But these electric motors and sometimes vacuum operated motors became a problem. And I think, frankly, the newer cars, that's why they moved away from them, because they just didn't feel like dealing with the complexity of parts, because you've got nylon gears that go bad and other things. But just thought I'd give you a short video, not that short, but a brief video describing these headlight motor assemblies. If you guys have any other questions Corvette related, or would like to see some videos how to on some of the other Corvette things I work on, just let me know in the comments below. I can help you out. Free to share my knowledge with you of doing this for over 20 years. If you like the videos, make sure you like, comment, and make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button so I can keep bringing you guys some good videos on everything Corvette and other fun car related stuff. And like I said, I appreciate you all taking the time to do that, and thanks for watching the videos. We'll catch up with you next time. Thanks. Hey guys, one thing I realized I forgot to mention was to thank all my fellow veterans for their service and to enjoy their Veterans Day. Hope everybody's having a great day, and we'll catch up with you later this week. Thanks again, guys.